Several friends have asked me this question: which drone should I buy? A Mini 2 or the new Air 2S? It is a very interesting question, thank you for asking. The answer is not easy, and generally my reply goes on for a good amount of hours. This video will explain which one of the two models is better suited for different kind of users: beginners, casual users, or semi-professionals. I will concentrate mostly on users who are interested in shooting video, as I will do another one for photography. I have analyzed the different aspects of these two models in depth in several videos. You will find a link at the end of this one and in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you find this video interesting. First of all, the Mini 2 sells for around 470 euros, again 1000 euros for the Air 2S. So there is certainly a very important difference in price. The size is also very important, as the Mini weighs 249 grams and remains below the 250 threshold. Therefore, here in old Europe, the online exam is not needed, and you can fly with less strict regulations in urban areas. It simply needs registration for the drone operator. Because of the big price difference and the more relaxed regulation, many will think that Mini 2 is the ideal drone for beginners, but things are not as simple as we will see. To remain below the threshold of 250 grams, DJI had to shave weight wherever possible, so the Mini 2 doesn't have any of the bell and whistle supplied with the Air 2S. First of all, there are no sensors for obstacle avoidance, so a lot of care is needed when planning a flight, and certain situations are simply too risky and are better avoided. In flight, the Mini 2 is not as powerful as the Air 2S. The wind resistance, according to DJI, is level 5, around 29 km/h, against 38 km/h for the Air 2S. The sensor of the Mini 2 is the old 1/2.3 inches one that equipped all previous models of the Mavic line, except the 2 Pro and the Mavic Air 2. It can shoot video at a resolution of 4K and photos at 12 megapixels. The sensor of the Air 2S is a much bigger 1-inch one and can shoot video at a whopping resolution of 5.4K and photos at 20 megapixels. It can also shoot video at a frame rate up to 60 frames per second at 4K resolution for slow motion. The Mini 2 doesn't have any intelligent flight modes, only the usual quick shots, while the Air 2S has the very useful focus track, which includes several excellent modes to perform difficult moves with consistent results. The Mini 2 has only one color mode, normal, which is already pre-processed and meant to be used out of the box. The good news is that this mode is excellent and can indeed be used as it comes out of the shutter. All the footage you're watching now is ungraded. This is excellent for people who need to post immediately their footage on social media or don't have access to a computer for color grading. The Mini 2 has a new video processor compared to previous models, and this translates into footage with excellent detail and lower noise. In a previous video, I tested how the files react to heavy post-processing, and the results were quite good, thanks to the 100 Mbps bitrate. Although we don't have a lot of flexibility for modifying colors, as they are already heavily processed. The Air 2S also has a normal mode, but it doesn't rock just out of the box and needs at least an increase in contrast and saturation to shine. But after a basic grading, this mode is astonishing. This model also has two 10-bit color modes, D-Log and HLG. And this is a huge upgrade, as 10-bit contain over 1 billion colors, against about 16 millions for 8 bits. The Air 2S has a huge bitrate of 150 Mbps, and the files shot in 10-bit modes are the most solid in any prosumer drone for color grading and post-processing in general. As you can see, footage shot at 5.4K in my favorite 10-bit mode, HLG, the detail and richness of colors are simply stunning. Another huge advantage of the Air 2S is that the footage shot at 5.4K leaves plenty of room for zooming in, reframing, cropping and panning while post-processing, without any loss of resolution, even when encoding in 4K. No pre-planning is needed for zooming. Let's start with the top-down shot. The sky is not in the frame, so the dynamic range is very limited. But we have a lot of fine detail in the vegetation and architectural features. The Mini 2 does a very good job, the detail is excellent and the colors are decent. Although this drone has a bluish tonality that works well in most situations, but not so much in this one. So I modified the white balance, adding a bit of warmth and also add more contrast. Better now. The Air 2S has astonishing detail and perfect color. The 1-inch sensor, the 5.4K resolution and the 150 Mbps bitrate pay big dividends. But even more stunning is the color rendition in the 10-bit modes. Here we are in very cloudy conditions and both models perform very well. No moire and hardly any noise with both of them. Although the Air 2S has again astonishing colors and certainly more detail in the trees in the foreground. In this image we have the sun coming from the left and the dynamic range is quite high. I like the one shot with the Mini 2. Let's move to a traditionally very weak point of drones, shooting against the sun. With the Mini 2 to keep some structure in the sky, we must have the element in the ground as silhouette, and the result is good. If we try to get more information in the shadows, we lose structure in the sky. Although this is the best performance I have seen in a drone with this small sensor. At sun-specific angles to the sun we get horrible flares and loss of detail and saturation, but this happens with most prosumer drones. With Air 2S these kind of shots are a piece of cake, and it is the only drone of the Manic line together with the Mavic 2 Pro that I would use against the sun. In low light conditions the Mini 2 impressed me by maintaining the same footage quality at high ISO values. As we move from ISO 400 to 800 and then 1600, there is just a hardly noticeable increase in noise, while detail and colors remain almost the same. But once again the Air 2S puts up an astonishing performance. In very low light it maintains stunning colors and detail with no noise at all. This drone comes from another galaxy. And without any doubt there has been a huge jump in technology in the last 3 years for low light performance of DJI drones. For people starting with drones, the Mini 2 has a lot to offer. It is affordable, no exam is needed, it can fly in urban areas with very few restrictions. And video quality is excellent in most circumstances, if your main aim is to post video on social media. The biggest downside is the lack of obstacle sensors, which is even more relevant for beginners. Flying this drone requires a good dose of pre-planning and a lot of care during the flight. If you live in a windy area, even more care is needed. Also, there is a risk that after a while you will outgrow the drone, as it doesn't offer any intelligent flight modes or other useful features. The Air 2S is more expensive, but that is the only negative point. At the moment is by a good margin the best prosumer drone in all departments, offering breathtaking quality and all sorts of features, including very useful ones like tracking, hyperlapses and slow motion at 4K. It is also the model to choose for users interested in post-processing their footage. For prosumers and professional users, I would recommend to avoid the Mavic 2 Pro at the moment and buy instead the Air 2S and the Mini 2, as the little one can be very useful in urban situations and the quality of the footage is very good, if we rule out shots against the sun and projects that need serious post-processing. Click on this link to access my detailed videos on specific aspects of the Air 2S. Or in this one, if you want to know everything about the Mini 2. And don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video.